Welcome to Vacation Station, hosted by Lisa and Nancy, editors of BigBlendMagazines.com.
Welcome, everybody. It must be the fourth Tuesday because Debbie Stone is back on the show. Debbie Stone is a travel writer, world traveler, and she is back she's been back outside of this country, I should say. The last couple of years, she has really thoroughly done America. And then she went to Europe, I think, for like 7 weeks. But all I know is we missed her. She was gone, and then she kept sending me photos, and I'd go like, oh, my gosh, look what she's doing. And we're super excited to have her back. We call her the Fire Monkey, but she is joining us today to talk about her recent kayaking adventures in Italy's Lake District. Her article is up on nationalparktraveling.com. Just type in Italy and Debbie Stone, and you will see exactly why we are so jealous. Like, seriously, I know you're not supposed to be jealous, but Fire Monkey, welcome back. Welcome back home, but I'm sorry, this look like I've never thought of, I know you do these walking adventures, and we're going to be talking about Hadrian's Wall next month and some of those other wonderful, walking adventures that you do, but kayaking adventures that involve going on and off islands and seeing castles, and seriously, am I allowed to be jealous?
Yes, you are.
Seriously.
It was truly, it was like a nirvana situation. I mean, it was beyond, what you would ever even expect. I mean, I knew the area was beautiful, but it was an astounding beauty, and the types of experiences that we had, both like you said, on the water or in the water and on the land, was such a wonderful combination. That every day was something different and just wonderful. And of course, you're in Italy, so the food and wine are amazing, and it has it all.
I think I'd paddle straighter if I had wine. So this is exciting to go on a kayaking adventure, because I know we've done, like you did, Hell's Canyon whitewater rafting, so you've done that kind of thing too a lot. We've talked. You've had all kinds of adventures, but this seems really kind of a chilled out. I don't know, I think we kind of need it after, and as travelers, when you're on the road all the time or flying here, flying there, just to kind of float nicely without having to worry about rapids might be just a nice break in a way.
It's such a totally different experience. The rapids are wild and fun, and
fun.
It's just
big fun
and just crazy exciting. This is just. It's just such leisurely beauty. You know what I mean? You're experiencing the scenery and the landscape and such a, I think, really lovely, calm way, and I have done a bit of kayaking, of course, in my life, and I had been to Italy and done kayaking with this same guide, Enrico Carrossino, and he's just a wonderful man, and he helped when I was doing the Cinque Terre in Sardinia kayaking trip several years ago. He helped me to understand about using your core when you're kayaking so that your shoulders and your arms aren't hurting, and so that you can kayak for long periods of time at a nice leisurely pace, but still get to where you want to get to. And so this time around, it was nice because I could put all those components together, and it was, to me, like I said, the feeling was like Zen-like, because I could really, my paddle and I were working together, kind of thing, and it was just so it made for a much, to me, a more heightened experience, So anyway,
wow. That's fascinating because, using your core, I think that's an important thing, especially if you go out in the ocean. I know you've done that, in different areas, go out to sea, and, because you really have some of the waves and all of that. So if you're using your core, it's kind of like as a singer, I use my diaphragm versus singing from your, what they call a head voice, or just singing, using, you don't want to use your throat. You want to use it is the core. And if you, so I always say that's why I get to have an extra tummy, like a little bit of tummy for that, because it helps the core. And apparently that's really completely bogus, but I'm just saying. I just thought I'd put that out there. But I do want to give a shout out to this, this amazing guide that you have. It's KayakXplore.com, and that Explore has got no E, so it's Xplore with the letter X. And so go to KayakXplore.com and check them out. But it's cool. So they actually kind of put this package together. Are you with other people? Are they with you when you go on land? How does all of that work?
So he is, for us, he was a private guide. He specializes in customized trips, also tailor-made itineraries for like small groups. But we, asked him to plan this trip. We gave him some input. He put together a 9-day plan, and we wanted to include a number of experiences because we wanted not only to kayak, but we wanted to do a little hiking. We wanted to do a little sightseeing. We wanted to do a lot of eating, And so he put this together, and he is with you every step of the way. And so, he is in his own kayak, and my husband and I had a double kayak, and so we would just set out and, follow him or whatever it was, but he would, guide us and also at the same time talk to us about what we were seeing or going to be seeing. And, he drove the van, and so he did everything and organized where we were going to stay and organized where we were going to eat. And so, it was a pleasure because somebody was taking care of all that, but also it was curated to our interests. And so that was nice because, if you're in a group, a lot of times you have a very established and set itinerary and you have to follow it because you're with a group, and
be on time.
Right, and this way, we had, we could say, oh, we want to spend a little more time kayaking here, or we want to spend a little more time, walking through this area, or whatever it is. And so it was nice, and we could make adjustments as we went as well, and that was, to me, that's just terrific if you are a traveler to be able to make the adjustments and to be flexible.
Yeah, because I can imagine him. He's like, "Come on, kayak faster, faster, faster! If you don't make your lunch appointment, you're not going to have lunch. Get going.
Absolutely.
It did flow like that, and again, I think our experiences in travel. I think COVID also taught us this. Hey, you treasure those moments, treasure what you do because it could go away.
Absolutely.
We've learned that, and so when we're out on these, that's an epic adventure what you did. I would think this is like if you have a bucket list, this is one of those major things on a bucket list that you want to do because to relax on the water and the views from what I can see. And he made a really cool video for you of where you went and really personalized, beautiful, and everyone you can see it with Debbie's article. But just the scenery, I didn't know Italy looked like that.
This is the lake region.
Water and
I know it's just the colors and the scenery is so postcard perfect. This is you're talking about lakes at the Italian-Swiss border. So you're talking about Lake Como, Lake Maggiore, and Lake Lugano. And, so you're right there at that border. And in fact, you're going into Switzerland and going, Italy into Switzerland, and you're into the Swiss part of Italy, which where they do actually speak Italian, and you feel like you're in Italy, but you are actually in Switzerland. But this is just one of those places that also has great history, very rich history, has incredible, some of the best food and wine in Italy. It's a captivating area, and until you go, you don't understand exactly. You're like, oh, lakes or whatever, but no, these are special. This is a special area.
And a lot of history. That was something to me that was, I always love it when you get the natural experience, but then you have history where people really have maintained their culture and sense of place. And
Absolutely.
Some of these places you went, you're talking about the 1700s and stuff. This is some ancient, history. People's residences, the vice president of Italy's home, summer residence. Couldn't go knock on the door, but you could go around. This, and it was funny because you're saying these areas are, part of movies, and it's true. You see it on a screen, but you don't really know it's real. You know what I mean? It's because you know how movies are made. They say it's this or that. Part of one of the Star Wars were filmed in Yuma, Arizona. Who knew? And
I know.
You know,
but it's when you're there and you're on location, so to speak, you can understand. It's like why that was chosen, to be the site for a specific film, And the villas. I mean, this is a place where they have these incredible villas that are historic, but not only that, they're opulent, and the one in particular, Villa Belbianello, which we took our kayaks to, and we just we kayaked right up to the villa and got out and then went on a tour of the villa, and it was just such a cool experience to be able to see the villa from the water as you got closer and closer, and then to get there and get out of your kayak and then go and tour this place with a guide, and looking at all the incredible furnishings and the artifacts and sculptures. And this particular villa was one of the owners was this leader of the first Italian expedition to Mount Everest, and so there's one floor at the top that is all about his expedition to Mount Everest. So you've got the sled that he used to reach the North Pole. You've got all these photos,
awesome.
these flags. Yeah, and so it's to me that was just such a unique component. Who would have ever known that residence was this man that had led this exploration, and so you find all these interesting things. And
I bet you paddled faster after that. No inspiration from that museum. But yeah, this is so incredible, this history that you get to. But there's also, now did you see George Clooney? Because now when you hear these Italian villas, everyone thinks George Clooney, Sophia Loren, Sorry.
Oh, and we saw where his villa was. Of course, we were waiting for an invitation for happy hour, but it did not happen.
I want to meet his wife. His wife does so much work, humanitarian-wise, around the world. I mean, she's amazing. I wouldn't mind meeting him, though.
Yeah. No, I would love to have.
Parents are in Kentucky. Yes. That's not far from where we are right now. I'm just thinking.
No.
But
No.
So this castle that you went to. I want to go with the ghost. Seriously?
Oh my gosh.
Like, okay, we have to talk about, and you did the Paris Catacombs too on this, big epic European journey that you did, which is a whole other creepy, weird thing. But this is a trip. So they're like capturing the spirits in plaster. Are they going around saying, "Get in the plaster"? But what?
So this is at Visio Castle, and so every year, the managers of this castle they create these ghostly apparitions out of plaster, and so they have volunteers who agree to have the plaster fitted to them to create the figures, and so then the plaster is left behind, and it is left to disintegrate on its own throughout the year due to weather and just wear and whatever, and then every year they recast them again. And so the ghosts, though, have a connection to the area with this queen that was there who ruled part of Italy. And the story has it that her heart and soul are there in the walls of the castle, and that her soul roams the halls on moonless nights. And so these ghostly apparitions that are out there outside, you walk around it, and they're just, it was just so cool to see this. I thought that was just such a cool thing to do,
This is, and then you've got so you went from, I want to go do that. I want to see that. That's on my list now of places. But I want to do it I do. So you kayak up to a castle. How cool is this? And so, did you have any packed lunches, or was lunch and dinner?
Mostly we would stop and have lunch somewhere, and these places in Italy, you can go anywhere and you'll have good food, So that was part of the fun, was stopping in these little places and having delicious lunches, and not only that, but later on then having delicious, then having happy hour and dinners and all of that. But no, you stop and you have a little lunch, and it's makes for a great break before you get back out on the water if you're going to go do a hike. One of the places we did visit, which was I thought very interesting, I had no idea, was a cycling museum. And it was up on the top of this pass, and it's really well known all around the world for cyclists who come, because a lot of the competitions, either end there or decided there. But the cyclists, they come and they're right up there, up this pass, because there's this 17th century sanctuary, and inside is a painting of the Blessed Virgin Mary, and she is proclaimed patroness of cyclists. So, anybody who is, doing cycling, particularly racers, go up there, and, that's a real special thing for them to do. But also the museum is there, which is amazing, and I'm not a huge cyclist. I love to just do recreation cycling, but this was all about, all these competitions and jerseys and bikes and all these memorabilia. And it was, to me, even being somebody who doesn't follow a lot of that, I was very interested in it. It was another very cool excursion to do,
It's like going to the Olympic Museum and
yes,
what you've done in Colorado Springs, and
yes,
just like we've done like the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. And, I have
right.
no clue about sports. It's like, people running around in a uniform in a field kind of thing to me. But and you listen, classical music when you watch it on TV. It's great, especially rugby or football. But when you go to these museums and you read about people's accomplishments and the amount of work they go into, the cycling, that area is not that easy. I mean, you're going up mountains and stuff. I mean, it's a huge deal. And it looks like the Tour de France and stuff like that. It's huge.
Yeah.
And so after that, did you paddle faster? I'm just going every time. It's like, hey, we're doing this leisurely thing, and then you read about all these cyclists that really kicked butt, and you're like, okay, maybe I'll I want those rapids now. I'm ready for the water.
Put the pedal to the metal, kind of thing. But no, it just, it was just another, one of the kind of sites that you don't expect, you don't know about, and Enrico was like, oh, you let's go see the cycling museum. I think you'd really enjoy it, and so those are the kinds of things, a guide and somebody who knows the area, can take you to, because otherwise you might not have known about it. And so that was wonderful. We went to all these incredibly charming little villages, little hamlets. One in particular was Guarda, which was in Switzerland, and it's very remote, and it has kept its culture over the years. And most of the 150 residents that live there speak Romanish, and which is this language of the spoken Latin language of the Roman Empire. And it's, they try to keep this language alive. In fact, it is one of the languages of Switzerland. They include that in there. And so it's known particularly for its architecture, because they have these preserved, like, they're called Sgraffito, which I consider like graffiti houses, but they're beautifully painted facades that are traced way back, centuries ago, and they're built with wood and lime and stone, and the decorations are done on plaster. They use freehand paints. They use stencil, and so you're walking through this incredibly incredibly artistic village, and every house is like a painting. Just beautiful.
It's amazing. I've heard of that village, and it's like National Geographic stuff. When you see the people actually painting it and stuff. So one thing I wanted to know is, like, okay, obviously you're eating well, and I mean you're in Italy, right? So how
Yes.
But were you, like, going back to, I know you did. We're going to talk about Hayden's Wall next month, but and you did like the walking trail of Wales, and it was interesting. As you would walk and take, you could go, hey, we're going to go sit in the pub for a while, and then someone will pick you up and take you to your lodging, like what you did in the Appalachian hike, too, in the Smoky Mountains.
Right.
People would come and get you, your guides. So, like, what was it like? I mean, did you sleep on your kayak, or did you get to, were accommodations, like, pre-booked, and did they...
Oh, they were all
everything. How did that work?
Everything was all pre-booked. If you're in Italy and Europe in the summer, you probably have to pre-book a lot of things. Just if you're in areas that are very well sought after. But he pre-booked everything, and so these were these little inns and little boutique hotels, rustic lodges. I mean, mountain lodges. Beautiful little settings. We never stayed in chain hotel properties. It was always, very, a lot of family-run places.
Nice.
Very, very nice. The the kind of atmospheric property or place that you associate with that type of place.
So they move your luggage for you, because I know you were on a 7-8 weeks in Europe.
He would just put it in the van, and we would drive to the next place and then get out and take out the kayaks and do the area of the lake, or if that day was no kayaking because we were going to be doing a hike, for example, or whatever, or a train. We took a train portion, so it was a mixture of everything.
Wow.
We were it was like boats and trains and walking and driving all.
Yeah, this one hike too. This is so cool though, to have this kind of adventure. And I think when you're working with a company that really specializes, they know the lodging partners, they know who's going to be the right fit for the person when it's not a brand hotel. And it's so weird because, like, when I think of Italy or Greece or places like that, I can't even picture like a brand hotel. And I'm not knocking brand hotels. I know they're everywhere, but like, it's weird. Like, my brain just doesn't even comprehend it. It just goes, oh, it must be, like Familia. They've got to be like, I don't know. It's, you know what I mean? And so I'm not knocking brand hotels whatsoever, but it's so cool to have that really authentic, personalized experience and have someone who knows. And, things can go wrong in travel for everyone, for the guide, for the traveler. And when you have those relationships, they know who to call. It's like if you need to call Ghostbusters for that castle, they'll know who to call,
Absolutely.
Talk about hikes. What's up with the bocce ball on this hike?
So the hike is called Bobasco Val Burzaska, and it's a trail that is full of surprises. But you get a bocce ball at this nearby shop, and you take your ball, and throughout this wonderful trail are these pulleys, these cables, these catapults at these different stations that you use the bocce ball, and you see it, it's almost like, watching, go down a pulley or, down a ladder, and you watch it, and then you collect your ball at the end of that station, and then you take it on to the next one. And it follows the Burzaska River, which is like this incredibly clear turquoise water, these big rocks, vibrantly colored boulders. And so, you've got the river there, and then you've got this really fun, it's like a very entertaining hike. And, people of all ages, I mean, we loved it. We had so much fun doing it. I mean, you could see the kids and families loved it. And it was just something really unique. I mean, I've never done anything like that. And yet it was this incredible scenic landscape as well.
To me, I love stuff like that. It's interactive. It makes you jump out of your comfort zone, too. It's cool. It's like, I want to do that thing where they roll the cheese down the hill. I think it's in Switzerland.
That sounds fun. Oh.
I want to do that. I mean, in England, on Easter time, we had this place called Beacon Hill, and you have these giant Easter eggs, and they'd be filled with Smarties, which are like M&Ms here. And you smash your egg down the hill. I don't know why we were doing that. And then you go find the Smarties. I don't know why we were doing it, but it was fun. It was like,
of course.
And I'd like some of that now. But there it is.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of fun stuff that I don't know. Now we have disc golf and stuff like that, which is kind of an interesting kind of.
Oh, definitely.
Disc golf. Like, I want to try that because it's this different way of exploring, but I'd like to do it on a trail, but then I feel like, that's a little, I don't know, but I like what you're doing. I want to go to Italy and do this, but
most definitely,
you said the water. Some of the photos from there, I'm like, the water there is so. You're in pristine.
Yes.
It's beautiful,
peaceful, serene, nobody around. As I mentioned in my story, one of my favorite kayaking experience was on Lake Sills, which is in Switzerland outside of St. Moritz. And we had this lake to ourselves. We got up early with Enrico. We went out on the lake. It was just nobody else around, peaceful, quiet. It was truly magical. And, the pictures of the reflective of the mountains around it, it just, you had to pinch yourself to say, am I really here? It was just, as I say, truly molto bello, very beautiful.
It's cool that you got to go with your husband, too, and do this,
Yes.
To have that kind of time out together and do an adventure together, something you can talk about. That's exciting. But I want to hear about this train ride because I was reading in your article, the highest railway across the Alps. So you're doing Switzerland. Did you go through? You did go through Switzerland. So this is like you're way up there. Did you get nervous up there, or was it just too beautiful to feel that way?
It's just too beautiful. And we rode about a 2.5-hour section of the route from Tirano to St. Moritz. And this particular portion of the route has UNESCO World Heritage status. And so you're in those wonderful panoramic cars, so you can see the landscape as the train is going through. There are tunnels and bridges and steep inclines, and the mountains, of course, the Alps, the glaciers, the villages. It's one of those things you just can't. Your eyes are glued to the windows, And there's a little portion in the back where you can, the windows open and you can, look outside, and it was mesmerizing and to me very, very special. And I know that a lot of people do, they'll either do the Bernina Express or the Glacier Express, which is also famous in Switzerland. But it's a wonderful way to see the landscape, especially in a train, and also it's has narration as well, and you can follow along and see where you are and what's happening or what has happened there, any history, the geology. So yeah, it was very special.
Oh, just talking about Italy and the whole area of Switzerland, you've got a story up on blendradio.tv.com about your food tour in Venice in the canals, and then you also went to Switzerland, had chocolate and cheese and all kinds of amazing things. So a lot of stories coming, everyone. She's been to the Rhine waterfalls. I mean, like, you'll see these all coming out in our different magazines now weekly because, we're so bored, Nancy and I. We don't know what to do with ourselves. We thought we'd publish a magazine every week. But it's exciting because, it's amazing how much you've traveled and how many stories we have to publish of yours. And I mean this in an exciting way because you've been all over. But going to Europe, any tips for travelers going over? Because it's like we're still like, oh, we're out of COVID, but we're not quite, because I know people who just got it. In fact, I know people who went to Italy and got it. So, but it can, and they're fine because they had boost,
right?
They're boosted, all of that. Obviously, you want to be vaccinated and boosted to, if you do get COVID, you don't die and you have a quick recuperation, right? So.
Right.
But any tips on going there, packing? What's it like going back out into, another country?
I think being mindful of all those precautions are great. Being mindful, that it depends on the type of trip. I mean, we spent a lot of time out in nature, so we didn't encounter tons of people when we were doing hiking, walking, boating kind of things. But of course, when we were in Paris, you have the hordes and the cast of thousands, and so that is something that if people don't feel comfortable doing. They should, obviously not be in the big cities at a big tourist time, which, summertime is. But, if you choose to do that, you take your own precautions. If you are somebody who would like to mask, if you're amongst a lot of people, then go for masking. Masking is optional in Europe. Currently, and we saw some people wearing it, the majority of people not, and I think it's a personal preference, but you have to do what you're comfortable with. We preferred, I would say, the majority of our time was spent in places of nature, and like I said, you're outdoors, and you're not being flooded with the masses and the crowds. But, Paris was definitely an exception to that because you don't really have much of a choice if you're wanting to see the special highlights of Paris, And as far as packing is concerned, I would say pack as light as you can. You don't really need everything that you think you will need. You just need to have basics. You can get what you need in Europe. In most places, you can get, if you run out of something, and you can wash your clothes. You can either wash them by hand. You can wash them in a laundromat. You can have the hotel do your clothes. There are many ways to do that, but you really, bringing a week's worth of clothes and then just dealing with that is probably the easiest thing. But if you're going to be taking the trains, which is one of the wonderful things about Europe, it's being connected by trains, and most of the time these trains are pretty much on time, especially in countries like Switzerland where they come on the dot. You are taking trains, so you are having to hump your luggage up and down stairs and train stations, and so if you have a bag that's easier for you to lift or to carry or to drag or whatever it is, that is going to be to your benefit. Also, if you're staying in these rustic places or even in just small hotels and inns, there's stairs and not a lot of elevators, and so you do have to carry your stuff upstairs. So if you make it as light and convenient as possible for you, it's going to be a much better trip.
Oh my gosh, you're so right. I mean, even in this country, when we were doing all the bed and breakfast, during COVID, Nancy and I mean, obviously now we still pet sit, and our way of travel has changed, but we did a significant amount of bed and breakfast even up to just before here. And let me tell you, being full-time travelers, right, you can't leave everything in your car. You just can't.
No.
I don't care where you are. You just can't. And going up to the top of a B&B, and some of them, these Victorians, like you're in it will only fit your body going up the stairs at the very top, right?
Exactly.
So if you have a really huge suitcase, well, good luck. So and it's just such a pain. The more you have, the more you have to worry about. So it's like so much easier to just go as light as possible. And I mean, we're in a RAV4 traveling the country. I mean, that's as light as you can get for full-time travelers. But
right.
Still, it's not light enough as far as I'm concerned because I carry most of it. But it's like, come on, when you're traveling overseas, even just to the luggage and everything in an airport, and if your luggage goes missing, do you have your most important things on carry-on so that if something goes wrong, you at least
of course
can change your underwear? Wash
being able
your
to
hotel room.
Being able to carry on everything and just take one carry on. That's what you're taking on a plane, and then you have your backpack, your day pack, whatever it is, and you find ways that you find and you say, this is what I have. It's a limited amount of space. So what is it that I need to take? What's most important? What can I do without? I'm going to wear the same clothes over and over again. Who cares? I'm traveling. I'm hiking. I'm whatever. I mean, it's like and if I happen to need something, I can go and buy it if I'm desperately in need of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I love it. Good tips. I mean, it's exciting that travel's back on. I mean, is this not the best on the the planet? I mean, really, I can't wait to hear about your walk on, along Hayden's Wall and, that whole. I mean, that's some deep history. I was talking to Glenn Burrows of Norfolk Tours in England about you and what you did. He's like, that's some crazy history that you walked through. Like he's like, that's crazy history. He was all excited about it, and that, like I was saying, everyone, you're going to be seeing a lot of Debbie stories on Europe, and you've got national parks coming. Where's your next destination? Like now, are you home for a while in Santa Fe?
I have some Oregon stuff coming up, and then we were just recently in the Midwest, and so the Indiana Dunes National Park and Cuyahoga National Park, and at the Football Hall of Fame, which I have been to before in Canton, I went back because my husband had never been, but I went back to see, because they now have a small little area that is devoted to the women involved. Yeah. And so it was very exciting to see that these are like some of the coaching, some staff, some of the ref staff, some of the broadcasters that are females that have broken into this all-male dominated sport for so many years. And so it was really nice so I went specifically, he wanted to go and see it, but I went and I thought, I'm going to search out where's the girl power here,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think that's something we forget about. I mean, even look at women's soccer, how women's soccer has evolved in this country. Like, I feel like women's soccer evolved more than soccer itself.
It's fabulous.
Here.
Fabulous.
I love it. I love it. Women can do anything, man. Watch out.
Yeah.
Hear us roar.
Yep.
Uh-oh. We're going to get in trouble now. But listen, thank you so much. We can't wait for next month's conversation and to keep following your adventures. Everyone, Debbie's articles are up on nationalparktraveling.com, blendradioandtv.com, and just about every magazine we put out. You'll see articles in there. And you can also keep up with the Kayak Xplore. Go to their website, kayakxplore.com, and then it's Explore with an X, no E, Explore, So kayakxplore.com to plan your adventure, your personalized tour. I mean, that just sounds magical, and have the best trip ever. And, of course, we're here every fourth Tuesday with Debbie Stone, and keep up with us at bigblendradio.com. Thank you so much. Fire Monkey, always fun.
Thank you so much. Looking forward to talking to you next month.
See you then.
All right. Bye.